I get it. Integration is so difficult and it's something that toppers use, not anyone else, right? This is such a bad misconception that consumes a lot of students. I mean, I've seen a lot of students personally give up physics just because of the idea of integration. Okay. And if you are one of them, I suggest you watch this complete video, and at the end of the video, at least I expect you to be a little more confident about problems which involve integration. All right. So let's get started. The idea is, I mean, I'll start with the whole idea with the mathematical perspective. What is integration basically, right? It is a huge, which is a strange idea, but in my opinion, integration is basically summation. All we are doing is summation. What exactly we're doing? Let's just look at it as a mathematical perspective. I'll show it to you. Let us take a very small graph, and there is this line, and I want you to find out the area right beneath this part. How do you find the area? All you gotta do is simply take this length and breadth, you multiply them. That is how you find the area. Now, but what if the graph is a bit complicated and it is like this? If you have to find the area in this situation, all you have to do is just basically take all these points separately, take this as a separate rectangle and this as a separate rectangle and this as a separate rectangle, and you find the summation of all the areas. But what if the graph is something which is like this, and I want this area? Yeah, since you are all familiar with the idea of area of trapezium, you can easily find the area. But let us say I'm a person who doesn't know the area of trapezium. But what would I do? What should I do? I would actually do this. I will consider this thing as two separate rectangles, and I would say it is almost same. The area, the yellow area and the green area. I would make an assumption saying the yellow area and the green area are almost the same thing. So I would simply write the area of the trapezium in terms of these rectangles. But to make it more accurate, what's the best way to do it? To make it more accurate, the best idea to do the same area, to find the same area, is to consider more and more rectangles. That's what you need to do. It depends on as many rectangles as you can take. If you take more rectangles, you're actually approaching towards a more accurate answer, right? So that's what you should be doing. Like you should be taking more and more rectangles to find the area. Just because you don't know how to find the area of a trapezium, you're just using the idea of rectangles. You're finding out, I mean, like just taking more and more rectangles to find the area and more, make it more accurate. What if it's a curve? What if it is a curve like this? What's the most suggestible thing to do? Obviously the same thing. You gotta take more and more rectangles to find the area right beneath the curve. I have an example right here for you. Look at this specific thing. Look at this specific idea saying this logarithmic curve. I don't know what it is. The gray area is something that we need to find, and we definitely have no mathematical idea how to find the gray area. What should I do? I take this one rectangle and I say that is the area. Yeah, the area is a bit close, but it's not exactly the right area, right? Like what we need to do is we need to take more rectangles. Yeah, this should be more accurate. This would be much more accurate, and this is much more accurate. And obviously, as you take more and more rectangles, it is getting more and more accurate. And at some point, we're actually reaching a very finite, very small error. That's what we're doing right now. So the smaller the slide, the smaller, the thinner the rectangle that you're considering, the more the accurate the answer is. So the best way to consider in this situation is to take infinitely small rectangle, infinitely thin rectangle. That is what we call it as dx. So next time you see this element saying this word saying dx, don't look at it as an alienated element. Okay, just a very infinitely small element, and this length is y. And what you're trying to do is write this area, a small area. So y into dx, and right when this is where the Thanos of your mathematics of physics comes. He makes the entry, the integral symbol. The integral symbol is not a snake. It won't eat you in the first place. That is the first point that you need to understand. That integral symbol means the summation of all these little rectangles here, all these little rectangles, and you put in limits. Like you might have seen these limits. If you are in just, if you just entered first year, you might not know what these things are. Okay, but if you already have completed it, you're putting limits, you're actually considering saying this is the area that we're considering. Okay, the way to solve this thing is something that we already learned in mathematics, the integral ydx part. What I just told you is a practical use. How we, what exactly are we using in the mathematics perspective to simply try to find the area. Let me show you how you use the same idea when it comes to physics. Take a simple problem like, yes, yeah, a body is moving with a constant velocity, a constant speed. So velocity time curve, since it's a constant velocity, it's a straight line. What is the distance travel? You know the formula, everyone knows these formulas, you genius. Since there is no acceleration, this part is zero. S equals to u into t or v into t. If you clearly look at it, this is nothing but v, this is nothing but t. So what we have here is the area. The area is clearly representing the displacement, since it is moving with a constant velocity. Okay, now what if it is, the velocity is something silly and it is like this? What if the velocity is like this? Then what do you do now? How do you find this area? All you got to do is this velocity into this time, this velocity into this time. Let me use different colors for this. Then this specific velocity value, let's call this v1 v2, this time, and this is v3, let us say. So for that, the area is this part. So all you got to do is simply try to take the areas of all these triangles and try to find the area of the triangles, and that gives us the total summation, gives us a displacement. Now let us take a body which is constantly accelerating, which means the velocity is something like this. Now you people are someone, you are someone who doesn't know how to find the area of a trapezium, right? So obviously what do? You consider small rectangles. How many rectangles are possible? Like as many as rectangles possible. Just make this problem into a problem which is similar to the original, the problem that you see just did. Even though velocity is like this, if the velocity was not like this, the velocity is like this, I just considered it like this so that the answer is a much more, I mean, the answer is near to the original answer. But if you take more and more, like it depends on how many rectangles you can take. You got to take more and more rectangles to make the answer more and more accurate. That is what it is. Integration is all about this. This is where the integration idea comes. Again, the Thanos appearance, the second appearance of Thanos. Velocity time graph. This time the curve is much more complicated. Something like v equals to some k into t squared. The variable velocity, it's not even just a constant acceleration method. Yeah, the problem looks really difficult now. All you gotta do is, basically what we're doing is we are taking small small rectangles to find the velocity. In on those small rectangles, what we need to go look at the thinnest rectangle that we can go. So I take small thing, a dt, since this is time, I consider dt here, and I write v into dt, the velocity at that point, into dt. So that gives us the area of this small element, v into dt, and I use the symbol integration. Once I do this, if I integrate, of course, if there are limits to some time t1 to t2, t1 to t2, what we are considering is we are considering each and every slide. We are simply summation. Like if I simply write vdt, I'm only considering this. But the minute I put this symbol, I'm actually referring to all the small slides right beneath that curve, right? So if I do that just before, I have the velocity equation. The velocity equation must be given. Without this equation, you cannot solve. Okay, let us say this velocity equation is someone's given like this, kt square to dt. Now, since k is a constant, integral t square dt. Since you are all what learned this basic idea of since your childhood, since you're all preparing for IIT JEE, you know how to write this thing as integration, and you have limitations t1 to t2, t1 to t2, t1 to t2. That is the whole area, and that is nothing but the total displacement that it has gone through. Now, previously, if the problem is stated like this, our body is traveling with a velocity, a variable velocity v equals to kt square. This is not a constant velocity. This is not a constant acceleration method. Velocity is varying, and total displacement between t1 to t2 or in time t1 to t2. What is the total displacement? The minute you see the problem, you already imagine that is an integration problem and you leave it. What is the first thing that you need to do? Draw the curve. Look at this problem as a summation of all these little slides. Try to write the area of one little rectangle, which is nothing but v into dt, because this length is v, this thickness is dt. What you're writing is writing the area of a rectangle, v into dt. Put this integral symbol, though you don't like it at all. Try to put this symbol right next to it. The velocity equation will be given. Let us say kt square. You put it, you integrate it. Okay, before this idea, before this point, you might definitely lose this question. If the question is given this idea, you might definitely lose this question, but don't do that. Stop doing that. Okay, the integration is this easy. Integration, the idea of integration is so silly. I will use the same idea in one more perspective. Okay, uh, let us consider center of mass. Let us say on x-axis there are different masses m1 at a distance x1, m2 at a distance x2, m3 at a distance x3. What is the location of center of mass? xcm equals to m1 x1 plus m2 x2 plus m3 x3 by obviously write m1 plus m2 plus m3. You're using not just in the graph perspective. I'm showing it to you in a different perspective, the center of mass. Like we have different masses at different locations. Now, if there are more number of masses, if there are more and more and more and more and more number of masses, what do we do? There are, let us say, 100. There are 100 number of masses at 100 distances. Do you actually write this equation as m1 x1 and m2 x2 and m3 x3? No, we use one thing, right? mx rx sigma by integral mx. You simply are writing the whole thing by simply telling x equal to 1 to 100. X equal to 1 to 100. Integration is literally the same thing. It's literally the same thing, except you're not counting the masses. Here the masses are countable. There are 100 number of masses. There the masses are infinite number. It's just in the place of this, if I have a rod, have a rod, how many masses are there? Like at a distance x, just like you have a distance x, and at a distance you have mass. At a distance x, you have a mass dm. At a distance x, you have mass. How many masses are there like this in this specific rod? There are infinite number of masses. So you cannot write the integrals, the summations, sigma symbol, the summation symbol anymore. That is where you write. You literally can write that thing. Like you can, similar equation I will write. Integral m mx rx by integral mx. Just because of, just in the place of integral symbol, I'm actually putting the, sorry, in the place of summation symbol, actually putting the integral symbol. That's all. Okay. Except the problem is at the distance x or at the distance r, the mass we have, this mass is not mx, the mass is dm. So that's why I'm writing integral dmx by integral dm. You getting my point? Just in the place of this mass, I'm writing dm. In the place of this, I'm writing the distance x or r. Anything is fine. You getting my point? So this might already look a bit difficult to you. I will show another single problem to you on this thing, and I will give you an example. So somebody gives you a rod, saying what is the center of mass of this rod. Okay. At a distance x, there is a mass dm. So I will actually write this thing, dm x sigma dm. This is so wrong. You cannot write it like this. because sigma is about for discrete masses, like countable things. Okay, instead of this thing, I will write integral dm x by integral dm. But what is dm here? Dm is the mass of this element, small element. Let us say the whole rod is of a length L. For L length, the mass is m. For dx length, the mass will be m by L into dx. Just a cross multiplication, if you can see that. I hope I'm clear there. Okay. So I put the same mass in the place of dm. You're getting my point, right? For L length, the mass is m. For dx length, the mass is this. So in the place of dm, I write m by L into dx, x by m by L into dx. Take out all the constants. Since m by L and m by L are constants, I'll just take them out. Take out and cancel out. Integral x dx by integral dx. All I have to do is integrate from 0 to L, 0 to L. This is x square by 2, 0 to L. This is x, 0 to L. You will get L square by 2, L. Answer is L by 2. Obviously, when you have a rod, the center of mass is at the middle point, R by 2. But that's not the point. That's not the thing that, oh, the screen is stuck somehow. I will share it again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry about that. So the answer is L by 2. But the idea is not about the answer. The idea is never about the answer. Okay, don't think about L by 2. The idea is how you're using integration. Integration is summation. That's all. This symbol, just like this symbol, what it does is the same thing it does. But that symbol actually, this is actually something that we use for a discrete mass system, and this is something that we use for infinite continuous mass systems or continuous systems. That's the only difference. All right. So yeah, we use the same idea. You can, let us say, I simply I'll show another example. Let us say we have another discrete mass system. Discrete means that's not an alienated term again. Discrete is something that you can simply count, like 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you have a rod, how many masses are there in a rod? There are infinite number. You cannot count it. Here we can. Say someone asking you the moment of inertia about the whole thing about this axis. It's about distance, right? M1 x1 square. This is M2 x2 square, and this is M3 x3 square. If you are in the first year and you haven't covered this topic, you don't know, you might not understand this thing. So you're simply writing mx square, mx square, and mx square each and for every mass. If only you have 100 masses, what do? Symbol mass into x square, that goes from, I mean, the number goes from, as let us say, I goes from 1 to 100. But if I have a rod, I'm simply repeating the whole thing. Instead of 100 masses there, we have infinite number. So at a distance r, I have dm. So I'm simply writing integral dm r square. If only I can write it from 1 to infinity or 0 to infinity, I would have written it using the sigma symbol. But we cannot. That is why I use an integral symbol and write it as dm r square from 0 to extreme length. And I write the, once I do the integration, I get the answer. Okay, how to do the integration and how to approach these problems. Like, I've actually covered a basic mathematics class in my YouTube channel. You can check that class in the topic of basic math. Like, there's a uh, playlist of basic math. I think it's a third video in that basic math. Like, you should look at how the integration problems are solved. Like, what's the purpose of integration is like deliberately, like clearly discussed in that class. All right. So that's it, guys. I think I hope I helped it. All right. Trust me, guys, you're not just missing out one simple formula, you're missing out on a whole other beauty beyond that specific point. So I ask you to do one last thing. Go ahead and pick up some problems on integration. Try to do them, and that will help you build a lot of confidence. All right. Thanks. Bye bye.